I was just a simple math lover, a pure mathematics major. I spent my entire life solving equations. I don't know, it gives me peace, I love it more than anything. My life was a straight line, predictable, linear, no deviation, until he entered like an exponential curve, flipping every axis of my existence and turning constants into chaos. It was all normal for me, really. I was solving an equation in my mind, my thick, silky black hair falling over my forehead as I walked, holding a book, lost in thought. The hallway was less crowded, but there were people around talking. I kept murmuring equations to myself and walked down the hallway, only to trip over a mop. I didn't fall to the floor, though no, I fell onto someone else. My eyes squeezed shut as I tumbled, landing on a strong, muscular body that caught my waist. I heard gasps from people around us. It felt weird where my lips were. It felt like my lips were against something thin and soft. Confused, I slowly blinked my eyes open, and my entire world shifted. My eyes widened. Before me were a pair of sharp, deep, hazel eyes framed by messy red hair, strands falling over his forehead. His beautiful lashes framed those eyes perfectly, and before I could process, I realized my lips were against his. Wide-eyed, my world felt like it was crashing down. I slowly pushed myself away, my hands bracing against the floor on either side of him. The realization hit me harder than a miscalculated limit approaching infinity. It wasn't just some normal guy, it was him, Raiden Voss, the campus heartthrob. The shock was too much, and as I tried to push myself up, my hand slipped, and I landed on his lips again. The hallway erupted in snickers. "Well, that's one way to say hi," he whispered, his voice deep, warm, and playful, like mint chocolate. My eyes widened as I jerked myself up, standing in shock, my brain not processing anything. Raiden Voss let out a soft chuckle as he brushed off his arms and stood up. His 6 feet 2 inches height immediately towered over my 5 feet 8 inches, making me feel smaller than I already was. He actually knelt down to pick up my books and handed them to me. "You okay?" he asked, his tone soft. I immediately flinched, my hands trembling. I couldn't bring myself to look him in the eye. He tilted his head, watching me closely. I stammered out nonsense. Yeah, I'm as stable as a solved linear equation." "What?" he asked with a disbelieving chuckle playing on his lips. Nothing. I mean, I'm fine. Haha, thank you." I grabbed the books from his hand, bowed awkwardly, and turned to run away. Yep, that's all I did. Now, as I ran in a panic, hiding behind a vending machine, did I finally realize the truth. Oh my god, my brain and heart are racing like an equation I can't solve. He's so tall, with a jawline sharper than any math proof. Seriously, the gods must have worked overtime to create someone like him. His build, perfect like the Pythagorean theorem. No wonder he's the campus heartthrob. He's the campus topper, rich, athletic, the ace of the basketball team. He's always been the talk of the campus, fine, amazing, good-looking. Wait, oh no, what am I thinking? Stop, you just kissed the campus heartthrob on the lips. Is this a joke? What the hell just happened? My life never was like this. Oh god, I'm going to subtract that from my memory, like it never existed in the first place. Yes, I thought I could go back to normal, but no. My normal couldn't return to normal. Not after that incident. Someone filmed it, it's viral now. Like, on top viral. Hashtag cutest couple is trending. Hashtag Raiden times Noel kiss. Dude, you're viral now, my best friend Sam said, showing me his phone, where a ton of comments were flooding in under the video. Oh my god, is this really happening? I whispered, my eyes wide. Isn't that the math genius, Noel? I never thought he'd land a blow like this, other than with numbers. Seriously, I should be jealous, but they actually look good together. I'm shipping them. Hashtag ship Raiden Noel harder. What the hell? My brain was short-circuiting as I stared at the comments and reactions. More than 700 likes, 500 shares, and 520 comments. Are you kidding me? How the hell did this all happen in a freaking week? I'm staying in my closet from now on, I muttered, overwhelmed. Nah, don't forget about our class's basketball match tomorrow. You know how intense it gets. We need to win at any cost. We have to go and cheer for them, remember? Sam said, making me gulp nervously. I'm not going, I shook my head. You are going, Sam smirked. Oh, did I mention I'm a Ray Noel shipper too? He winked, and my brain short-circuited once again. I was ready to avoid it at all costs. I stayed in my dorm room alone, enjoying the quiet since my old roommate had left, and I was getting a new one. I wasn't sure who it would be, but I was happy in my peaceful little world. That is, until Sam literally dragged me out of my room during one of my math-solving sessions and pulled me toward the basketball court. It was hella crowded, people gossiping, talking, and cheering, so much going on. Instantly, some noticed me, and I could hear giggles, some even snapping pictures. I felt so embarrassed I just wanted to disappear, so I moved to sit in a corner. Sam sat beside me and said, "Let's cheer for your husband." My head snapped 90 degrees. Husband? The hell, whose husband? Since when do I have a husband? I asked, panic creeping into my voice. Sam smirked, not answering directly. He just pointed. "There, your husband's coming." I turned my gaze to the court, and there he was, Raiden Voss. The moment he walked in wearing their team's dark blue jersey, the screams from the crowd grew 10 times louder. He moved like he owned the place, winking and waving at others. I wanted to vanish before he saw me, but of course, I wasn't that lucky. Or maybe it was just the tragic plot of my life. His eyes scanned the crowd and, of course, they landed on me. His smirk shifted, deepening in a way that made my heart skip. The girls behind me noticed and started whispering, talking about how he was smirking at me. No, he wasn't. It must have been a mistake or something. Right, the game began, and it was a fire. Honestly, I enjoyed watching it. It was so cool. My weak, lazy ass could never play like that. I wanted to focus on all the players, but somehow, my eyes would always land on Raiden. And, am I wrong in thinking his eyes always seemed to find me too? Every time he scored or made a play, his gaze would flicker toward my direction. Nah, he must be looking at the girls behind me. Sure, the game was great, but as soon as it ended, all the girls rushed toward the players to give them water and towels. Most of them ran straight to Raiden. As for me, I pulled my lazy ass up, ready to follow Sam to wherever, but he stopped me. "You're going nowhere." Sam handed me a bottle of cold water, leaving me confused. Before I could even process what was happening, he placed a hand on my shoulder, turned me around, and shoved me ahead. I stumbled, but just before I could fall, a pair of strong, steady arms caught me. The sweet, salty scent of sweat mixed with minty, smoky cologne filled my senses. Confused and my heart hammering in my chest, I glanced up, only to be greeted by his smile. "Hello there again," Raiden said, his voice smooth and teasing. "We sure have a unique way of greeting." I immediately stepped back, my face turning crimson. "No, I mean, hi too," I stammered, my voice barely above a whisper. A deep chuckle escaped him. "Can I have it?" he asked, his eyes locked onto the water bottle in my hand. I couldn't form words, so instead of replying, I handed it to him. He took it from my hand, his fingers brushing mine as he did. "Thank you," he said softly. I nodded in response, but the girls behind him were screaming and cheering, totally shipping us. I couldn't focus on them. My eyes were glued to him as he twisted the bottle open, keeping his eyes on me, before raising it to his lips. My gaze followed as his Adam's apple bobbed while he drank, and I couldn't stop myself from gulping. "Like what you see," he spoke, catching my eyes on him. I quickly snapped out of it, stammering, "Oh no, not at all, I mean. I wasn't looking." "Okay, yeah," he smirked, clearly amused. "So, did I play well?" he suddenly asked, catching me off guard. "Of course you played well. Like always." I rubbed the back of my neck, nervous. Why'd you ask me that?" Raiden leaned in a little closer, that devilish smirk not leaving his lips. "I thought maybe after we shared a kiss, we could try talking and maybe even hang out," he said, his voice low and teasing. My brain went blank. He grinned wider, enjoying every second of my confusion. "You heard me right," he said, his eyes dancing with mischief. "We should get to know each other more, especially since we'll be seeing each other more often." He winked at me before turning to walk away, leaving me utterly speechless and trying to process what just happened. As he walked off, I finally understood what he meant. The next day, I stood frozen in shock after opening the door of my dorm. There he was, sitting casually on my bed, looking completely at ease. "Hi, never thought I'd see you like this," Raiden said, his voice calm and amused as his eyes swept over me from head to toe. It was then that I realized I was wearing an oversized pink hoodie and pink shorts, complete with kitten ears. "Ah, sorry," I exclaimed, immediately trying to hide my kitten ears, mortified. Who knew he'd show up like this? And to make it worse, I had a new roommate, so I wouldn't be alone anymore. Raiden didn't seem fazed at all. He stood up, stepping closer, his eyes gently tracing over me. "What's there to be sorry about?" he asked, his gaze soft despite his height, with me looking up at him. "You look cuter," he added, his words sending a wave of warmth to my cheeks. I could feel my face burning. He chuckled lightly. "Your face matches the hoodie color," he said, his smile growing as he pointed at my pink face and the pink hoodie. I was so flustered, I barely registered his words. Raiden, noticing my embarrassment, glanced at the pile of books, notebooks, pens, pencils, and my calculator on the bed. "Oh, I forgot you were a math genius," he said with a smirk. "That's hot." The last part was said in a whisper, making my heart race. I tried to act cool, but my voice wavered. "Why, you can get your things fixed. Tell me if you need any help." "Feel comfortable," I said, my face still hidden in my hoodie as I turned to the bed, my back to him. I couldn't see, but I was sure he was holding back laughter. Later that evening, I changed into a light black hoodie and pants, hoping to slip out for some snacks and hopefully avoid him. Raiden had already tidied up his bed, arranged his stuff neatly. As usual, he was impeccably clean. He sat on his bed, scrolling through his phone, before noticing me and standing up, saying he wanted to come with me. I couldn't say no, plus, I didn't mind, but the hoodie he was wearing. It was the same color as mine. "You sure it's okay if you come with me?" I asked, not sure what to make of it. "Why not?" he shrugged, the question casual, like we'd been doing this forever. Nothing," I mumbled, shaking my head. Before walking ahead, I could feel his presence behind me, hands in his pockets, that smile always on his lips, watching me. We reached the convenience store, and I started grabbing snacks, picking anything that caught my eye. Raiden stood nearby, watching me with an expression somewhere between disbelief and amusement. "Are you judging me?" I asked, raising an eyebrow as I picked out a bag of chips. "Not judging, just thinking," he replied, his voice soft and teasing. "Thinking what?" I asked, slightly intrigued but also unsure of what he was getting at. "How much more cute you can get," he said, his words leaving me stunned. My face immediately turned red, and I could feel the heat creeping up my neck. He chuckled at my reaction, clearly enjoying every bit of it. After paying, we walked side by side, the silence between us comfortable yet filled with unspoken thoughts. Once we got back, I grabbed a bag of chips and quickly sat down, eager to get back to my math problems. Raiden sat beside me, his gaze lingering on me as I breezed through 2 equations. "How do you do math so easily? You know, people mostly hate it. You even look like you're having fun. How are you so good at it? Is this some kind of nerd magic?" Raiden asked, genuinely curious. I didn't look up, focusing on the equations, and replied casually, "If being good at something means you're a magician, then you're one too. You make scoring look like breathing." Raiden blinked, clearly not expecting that answer. Still absorbed in my work, I continued, "Actually, there's no magic. No talent, just people trying really hard to make things look easy. I practice math because I love it. You practice basketball because you love it. That's all. You just work harder than everyone else, that's why you're the ace." I didn't notice Raiden's jaw tightening slightly, nor the shift in his demeanor as he stared at me. The room felt a bit quieter in that moment, like he was processing something. I muttered under my breath, almost to myself, "Not everything's about being born special." Raiden couldn't respond right away. He sat there, still and quiet, before eventually chuckling, rubbing his face and his messy red hair. "Nothing, just amazed. No one's ever said something like that to me before, so it's new to me. They all just say, I was lucky, talented, that I've got everything. So it feels nice to finally hear someone sees the real me," he said softly, his gaze fixed on mine. I tilted my head, confused. Nothing," he said with a small smile. "You should practice more. I'm bad at math, but maybe you can help me out, too, cute nerd." He leaned against the table, his smile widening. I blushed, trying to keep my cool. Sure, no problem," I said, trying to act casual, but my heart was racing a little. I continued solving the problems, but I could feel his eyes on me, his lips curving up as he watched me with that relaxed, amused expression. The next day, as I expected, the entire campus was buzzing with the viral photo of us from the night before us in matching hoodies. The post was captioned with something ridiculous like, "Matchy matchy boyfriends." I couldn't believe it, I was mortified. Meanwhile, Raiden, he was grinning, completely unbothered. "Why are you laughing?" I asked, still processing the chaos as we walked down the hallway. "'Cause it's cute," he shrugged, looking genuinely amused. I could feel my face turning red. "The comments?" I asked, hesitant. "You," he said it so simply, his tone carefree, and I swear it made my heart skip a beat. I was caught off guard, too embarrassed and flustered to say anything. Without a word, I just started walking faster, hoping to escape the conversation. I heard him chuckling behind me, and I couldn't help but feel a little giddy at how casual and carefree he was about all of it. At least one of us wasn't freaking out about it. Raiden had left for basketball practice. I stayed behind in the library, flipping through equations, so absorbed in solving them that I didn't even realize how late it had gotten. The building was quiet, and I thought I was alone, until I heard footsteps. "Noel, right?" a tall guy asked as he approached. I looked up and nodded. "Yeah, do you need any help? The professor asked me to give you this," he said, handing me a file. "Oh, right, I asked for some new equations to solve." "Thanks," I said with a small smile. "Yeah, no problem," he replied, then hesitated. "So, are you really dating Raiden?" That question caught me completely off guard. My eyes widened, and I felt my face heat up. No, I mean, we're not." I paused, whispering to myself, "What are we?" The guy leaned in a little closer, voice softer. "Since you're not, maybe we could grab a meal sometime. Just us." I blinked, confused. "Why would we do that?" "Well, I thought I could ask you out, since you and Raiden aren't a thing." Before he could say more, a shadow loomed beside us. A taller figure stepped in, sliding a hand between us to create distance. I looked up. Raiden. He was smiling, but it wasn't his usual smile, it was sharp, tight. "Who said we aren't?" he asked calmly, voice low but firm. "We will be, sooner or later. Either way, you have no chance." The guy awkwardly laughed before muttering something and walking off. "You're back," I said, trying to act normal. Raiden turned to me, arms crossing. "Why were you talking to a stranger?" He gave me this. I held up the file. "It's from the professor, new equations." "Why?" "He was asking you out," he said bluntly, his eyes darker than usual. "I think so too, but maybe he also just wanted math help," I said innocently, shrugging. Raiden sighed and rubbed his eyes. Then he stepped closer, hand resting behind me on the chair's back. His face was inches from mine, and when he spoke, his voice sent chills down my spine. "He was asking you on a date, Noel Brooke." I froze. My face went hot. It was the first time he ever said my full name, and somehow, it gave me goosebumps. "You're not supposed to go out with just anyone, even if it's for math help. That's my time with you." My throat tightened, and I looked away, flustered. "Oh, I see," I mumbled. He smiled, much softer now, and gently patted my head. "Good." Trying to act cool, I quickly nodded. "So, are you done here? Want to go out for a bit?" he asked. I gathered my books and bag. But before I could sling it over my shoulder, he casually took it from me and carried it himself. "I can carry it," I started. "Nope." He cut me off, then pulled me along with him as we walked toward the dorms. He seemed relaxed, a little sweaty and breathless. I remembered he had just come from practice. What really made my heart race, though, was the way he held my hand. Firm, warm, like he wasn't planning to let go. I hesitated, then gently tugged my hand away. He looked startled. "Oh, sorry, I didn't realize." "No, it's not that, I'm fine. Just, wait a minute." I ran toward a store we passed while he watched, confused. When I came back, I handed him a chilled bottle of lemon juice. "Here, you just came from practice. You must be tired, this'll help." He stared at the bottle, surprised. "How do you know I like this flavor?" I shrugged. "I noticed you drinking it once." I guessed. He looked at me for a moment, really looked, then chuckled. And without another word, he reached out, took my hand again, holding it more gently this time but still with that same firmness, like he wasn't letting go. We walked together, his hand in mine, him sipping the drink with a quiet smile on his face. And I felt warm. Back at the dorms, after Raiden came out of the shower, we settled down with some instant ramen. I was sitting with my phone in hand, slurping the noodles while scrolling through the school campus group. I couldn't help but glance at Raiden from the corner of my eye. He had that perfect body. I quickly looked away, my face burning as I saw the post shipping us together. Of course, it wouldn't stop. I sighed, my gaze dropping to the comments. Some people were writing about how we looked good together, and while it made my heart race, I also wasn't sure how I felt about it. Raiden noticed my discomfort and leaned forward, sitting directly in front of me. "What's wrong?" he asked. I hesitated, glancing at the screen. "Don't you see? The group, they're literally shipping you, with me." Raiden raised an eyebrow. "Why? Don't like it?" I gulped, feeling a little embarrassed. "Oh no, it's not that." I trailed off, unsure of how to put my feelings into words. "I mean, you're so popular and cool, and I'm just, me. I've always cared about numbers and equations. I don't think someone as amazing as you should be shipped with someone as boring as me." There was a moment of silence between us. Raiden's expression softened. "But they say we look good together. We should give them a show they'll never forget." I blinked, confused by his teasing tone. "Huh," he smiled, a little mischievous. "I usually hate it when strangers make assumptions, but when they ship us, it just feels right. Honestly, I don't want them to stop." My heart raced as I looked into his eyes. "I want it to be real already," he added, his voice low and sincere. My face turned bright red, and I didn't know what to say. I quickly lowered my gaze, slurping my noodles in an attempt to hide my flustered state. We didn't talk much after that, but that night marked the beginning of a shift between us. The distance between us closed, and I could feel it in the way we interacted. A month passed, and our closeness deepened. I used to avoid crowded places, but now I found myself sitting in a corner at the basketball court, watching Raiden play. The crowd cheered, but as soon as the game ended, something caught my attention. While everyone else was busy, Raiden walked directly toward me. He took the bottle I was holding without a word, and I noticed the way his knuckles looked, scraped and bruised. During the game, someone had dodged him too roughly, making him fall and scrape his hand. I acted quickly, holding his hand gently. "It looks like it's going to bleed. Let's go get this treated." He shook his head. "I'm fine." "No, you're not," I insisted, not letting go. I pulled him along toward the nurse's office, barely noticing how he followed me like a puppy, his chest subtly puffed out, as if to say, "Look, I belong to this cute guy. He bosses me around," and I let him, with a smile. At the nurse's office, I carefully cleaned his wound and applied the bandage. I could feel his eyes on me the entire time. When I finished, I gently patted the bandage. He spoke suddenly. "So, what are the odds we, accidentally, kiss again?" I froze, my eyes widening in shock. "Huh," he leaned back, looking amused. "I almost forgot how your lips felt on mine." "Almost. Want to remind me?" I blinked rapidly, stunned by his calm demeanor. "What?" "I saw the comments last night, everyone guessing when our next kiss might happen. I thought about letting them watch, but then I imagined it. Whether it's accidental or not, once I start, I'm not stopping until you're breathless, trembling, weak on your knees, and that sight. That's only for me. No one else gets to see you like that. Ever." My heart stopped beating. "You're too much." He moved closer, his voice turning serious. "No, I'm not." He gently took my hand, his eyes intense. "You know this, Noelle. How long are you going to keep avoiding it? I'm not going to repeat it. All you have to do is let me make you mine." My face felt like it was on fire, redder than I ever thought possible. I couldn't tear my gaze away from his intense stare. Gulping, I muttered softly, "Let's just say the limit of me saying no doesn't exist." His eyes searched mine, and then, as if finally processing my words, he broke into the widest, most beautiful smile I had ever seen. He gently tightened his grip on my hand, bringing it closer to his lips, and kissed the back of my hand softly. I felt his breath on my palm, and my mind went completely blank. "Thanks for granting the permission," he said, his voice teasing yet full of affection. He winked at me, and I was left blushing furiously, trying to hide my face. After that confession, nothing really changed, except for Raiden constantly staring at me, without even trying to hide it. "Can you stop staring?" I mumbled, glancing at him from the corner of my eye. He simply shook his head, resting his chin on his hand, eyes fixed on me like I was the most fascinating thing in the world. I sighed. Later that day, he took me out on a date. Nothing fancy, just some food, ice cream, and a quiet walk side by side. But it felt really nice. Warm, peaceful, like something out of a daydream. Eventually, he brought me to the basketball court. It was empty, dimly lit, almost dark. I blinked at the space, confused, until I remembered I'd once mentioned wanting to try playing. Before I could say anything, he tossed me a ball. Go ahead, try to score. I can't, I sulked, holding the ball tightly with both hands like it was a bomb. It's okay, I'll teach you, he said softly, stepping behind me. His hands covered mine, guiding them upward. He helped me throw the ball, and it landed right into the hoop with a perfect swish. My eyes lit up. Whoa, that looked so satisfying. Let me try again. I chased the ball and tried on my own. Missed. Tried again. Still wrong. Again. Wrong again. It was like the hoop had a personal grudge against me. Raiden sat on the ground, watching me struggle, laughing softly. His smile, his eyes, they looked at me like I was made of stars. I can't do it, I pouted, pausing for breath. Unless what? He asked, amused. I'm gonna use my own way. The Noel way, I smirked, pulling out a notebook from my bag. It was full of angles, formulas, diagrams, symbols like theta, times plus divided by pi, sin squared x. Honestly, it looked more like I was solving rocket science than playing basketball. Raiden blinked. Are you seriously trying to math your way into the hoop? It's logical, I declared. Based on my calculations, the ideal throwing angle is 52 degrees. Alright, go on then, genius, he said with a grin. I took a deep breath, adjusted my posture, aimed carefully, and launched the ball with all the confidence of a mathematician at a sports meet. It soared, and missed. Completely. Bounced off the fence with a dramatic clang. Silence and embarrassment. The wind, I muttered. I didn't factor in the wind. Raiden burst out laughing, walking over to me and placing a hand on my waist. You adorable nerd, you really tried to turn basketball into a physics problem. I pouted, embarrassed. Shut up, it made sense in my head. Frustrated, I tossed my pen away dramatically. Raiden chuckled again and leaned in, pressing a light kiss to my cheek, just soft enough to feel like heaven but strong enough to make my knees weak. He took my hand, helped me pick up the ball again, and kept teaching me. I tried again and again, failing every single time, but he never looked annoyed. You know, it's fine. You don't have to push yourself, he said gently. I said firmly. This is something you love so much. I want to understand why. I want to feel what you feel when you play it. He looked stunned for a moment, and then his expression softened into the purest smile. Falling for you. God, it's the first time in my life I've felt true peace. Not even basketball can come close to that. Suddenly, he whispered. I froze, heart racing, just as I threw the ball again, and this time, it scored. A perfect shot. Did you see that? I did it, I shouted, practically jumping up and down. Raiden laughed and came closer, patting my hair. Good job. I've never seen a more perfect goal. I beamed. Yes, I'm the best. He watched me with a soft gaze. You hungry? Let's go grab something to eat. I nodded quickly, still buzzing with excitement. Let's go. After that, we went to a nearby luxury restaurant. We ordered hot pot and sat side by side, our knees brushing under the table. Raiden kept placing bits of food into my bowl, making sure one ate properly, quietly attentive, as always. While we were eating, the waiter brought over a dish we hadn't ordered. Oh, shrimps. I blinked, then waved the waiter over. Excuse me, we didn't order this. The waiter apologized and took it away quickly. I shrugged and returned to my chicken when Raiden suddenly asked, You don't like shrimp? I do, I replied, casually nibbling on a piece of chicken. But I didn't want to eat it now. And besides, aren't you allergic to shrimp? He blinked at me, a little surprised. I am, but how did you know that? I shrugged again. Sorry, I kinda saw your medical note in the teacher's file when I went to submit my math homework. Also, I've noticed you always avoid shrimp at the cafeteria. Raiden stared at me, and not in his usual teasing way. It was something deeper. His eyes softened, there was a gentle rawness in them, something unreadable but warm. Without a word, he leaned in, gently held my chin, and pressed a kiss to my forehead. My face exploded in red. What are you doing? Someone might see, I whispered sharply, looking around. Let them, he murmured, nuzzling into my hair. I just sat there, completely flustered, heart thudding so loud it could have been mistaken for background music. A week passed, and Raiden was clearly feeding the rumors about us. He'd casually hold my hand, whisper romantic things, and make sure everyone saw. It was like he was doing it on purpose to mess with the people who shipped us. Honestly, I couldn't stop him, and, in a way, I kind of liked it. People kept their distance from him, assuming we were already a thing, which was a truth just they weren't sure. Haha. Another week went by, and Raiden asked me out for a date, but he didn't tell me where we were going. Just told me to wear something comfortable and trust him, which, honestly, was kind of a dangerous thing to say. But I agreed, sitting beside him in the cab, watching the lights outside pass by in a blur. The car finally stopped in front of a futuristic glass building. I blinked, staring up at the sign. Numerics. The Interactive Math Museum. I couldn't believe my eyes. "You brought me here?" I asked, turning from the building to his smug face. Raiden shrugged, his hands in his pockets. "What? Thought you might enjoy a place that speaks your language, numbers, logic, equations, seduction by statistics." I scoffed, cheeks flushing. "You're such a weirdo." I'd seen this place all over social media, but I never thought I'd actually get the chance to come. It was far, and I never had enough time or money, plus going alone would have been weird. "Wow, you're blushing harder over a math museum than when I kiss your cheek," Raiden teased, leaning closer. "Shut up." I gently pushed him away, but he just laughed. Inside, the museum was dimly lit and moody, with glowing exhibits and soft lights bouncing off curved walls. It didn't feel like a math museum at all, it felt like a private date spot, disguised as one. We passed through sections titled Geometry of Attraction, Fractal Beauty, and Equations of Emotion. Every equation, every graph, every concept clicked for me, and Raiden just smiled as he watched me. He didn't understand most of it, but he didn't mind. He was content just seeing me so happy. Then we reached a room surrounded by dark blue glass. Mirrors lined the walls, reflecting our faces from every angle. "Wow, it feels like there are dozens of Noels around me," Raiden said, lightly touching a mirror where my reflection appeared. I chuckled softly. "Yeah, I guess it's a little surreal." We walked through more exhibits, surrounded by math-related books, equations, and interactive displays. Eventually, we found another room with a massive white fluffy couch in the center, a blue screen above it showing more equations. The room was dim, lit by the calming glow of a blue aquarium, where fish swam behind thick glass. It was beautiful, and I couldn't help but stare in awe at the vibrant colors of the fish. I didn't notice Raiden closing the door behind us until he grabbed my hand and led me to the couch. We sat down, and the ceiling above lit up with even more math equations. I explained the ones I knew, while Raiden listened intently, occasionally humming in response. "This feels so good and beautiful," I whispered. "Thanks for bringing me here, Raiden." He smiled, his eyes soft. "As long as I get to see you smile." I stared at him for a moment, my heart pounding in my chest. Finally, I made up my mind, leaned in, and pressed a small kiss to his lips. It was quick, soft, just a gentle thank you. Raiden blinked in surprise, his lips slightly parted. "That's all, you're so selfish?" he asked, crossing his arms, pretending to be offended. I chuckled, then gently cupped his cheeks and kissed him again, this time a bit longer, about 3 seconds. When I pulled back, our eyes locked, and I could see that he wasn't quite satisfied yet. His gaze was intense as he grabbed my waist and pulled me closer, kissing me again. This time, it was different, passionate, intense, and full of heat. I was overwhelmed, but I kissed him back, my hands gripping his shirt as he held me tight, his hands exploring my waist. We pulled apart after what felt like forever, both of us breathless. My lips were swollen, and my face was red, but Raiden just smiled and kissed my cheek softly. "I love you," he whispered, his voice so gentle, my heart almost stopped. I buried my face into his neck, shyly hugging him. I love you too," I whispered back, feeling him chuckle softly as he pulled me even closer. As soon as we reached home, it was like something in Raiden snapped. All the restraint he had shown until now, respecting my boundaries, keeping his affection in check, crumbled the moment the door shut behind us. He pressed me against the wall, his eyes dark with hunger, and before I could say a word, his lips crashed onto mine. It was desperate, hard, breathless, as if every second he had held back had built into this one moment. He kissed me without pause, like he was afraid I might vanish if he stopped. My fingers curled into his shirt for balance, overwhelmed by the intensity but unable to pull away. Not when it felt this real. Raiden, I managed to whisper between kisses, but he just breathed my name like it was a prayer and kissed me again, softer this time, as if apologizing for the roughness, yet still not letting go. His hands gripped my waist tightly, pulling me flush against him as his lips devoured mine, hungry, needy, like he'd been starved for this. I gasped into the kiss, and he took advantage, deepening it, tongue sliding against mine with a heat that made my knees tremble. One hand slid up my spine, fingers threading into my hair, tilting my head just the way he wanted. The other hand wandered, bold, possessive, fingertips tracing the curve of my waist, my ribs, every inch he could touch without breaking our kiss. My back hit the wall again, but I didn't care. All I could focus on was him, his breath mixing with mine, the sound of our kisses echoing in the room, the heat cooling low in my stomach. His lips moved from mine to my jaw, trailing fire down to my neck. I arched into him, a breathy whimper escaping before I could stop it. "You drive me insane," he murmured against my skin. "You have no idea." His words made me shiver, clutching his shirt tighter as he returned to my lips, fiercer than before, like I was his oxygen. And maybe, in that moment, I was. After that day, a week passed like a dream, soft, warm, filled with kisses that left me breathless and his touches that always ended with me flushed and grinning like a fool. Raiden was hopelessly affectionate, always pulling me close, always finding an excuse to brush his fingers over my cheek or lace our fingers together like he was afraid I'd disappear. I wasn't complaining, not when my heart beat louder just by hearing his footsteps approach. But then came that call. At first, he brushed it off, smiling like always, but his smile didn't reach his eyes. His shoulders tensed, his hands stayed still. I noticed everything, so I asked, once, twice, until finally, he caved. Turns out, the perfect, confident Raiden I'd come to know had shadows too. He lost his mother at 5. His father, strict, powerful, running an empire of businesses, had never really looked at him the same after that. I already knew Raiden came from wealth, but not like this. His father expected him to follow in his footsteps, run the company, become a polished heir. But Raiden, he loved basketball. He lived for it, that alone fractured their bond. And now, his father had found out about him dating a guy, about us. About me, and he was furious. I stayed calm on the outside, even as my stomach twisted. "Then let's meet him," I said softly, resting my hand over his. "We don't have to fight. We'll talk. Maybe if he sees I'm not some bad influence, he'll listen." Raiden stared at me like I'd just offered to jump into fire for him. "You sure?" His voice was low, uncertain. I smiled. "Yeah, let's do it calmly. I'll be fine." Eventually, he agreed and made the call. His father chose the place, a luxury cafe uptown. But of course, he also picked the time. Tomorrow, right when Raiden had a match. Raiden tried to argue. His father didn't care. "It's okay," I told him that evening, fingers gently brushing through his hair as he sat beside me, unusually quiet. "I'll go. You can come after the match." "No worries." His arms tightened around me, burying his face in the crook of my neck like he needed to hide from the world just for a second. "I don't want you to face him alone." "I won't be alone. We'll do it together, okay?" I whispered, smiling as I kissed the side of his head. "That's enough strength for me." He didn't reply, just held me tighter. Because maybe for the first time, someone was willing to stand beside him, not because they had to, but because they wanted to. The afternoon came faster than expected. Raiden was still at practice but had messaged me that he'd come as soon as he could. I arrived at the place, a luxury cafe nestled in the heart of the city. Velvet seats, golden chandeliers, and the faint aroma of hazelnut coffee made it feel like time moved slower inside. It was beautiful, my first time here, but I couldn't stop the nervous flutter in my chest. I wore a simple light green sweater, pants, and my glasses, hair combed neatly as I walked in. I didn't even know what his father looked like, just that this place was filled with people who looked far richer and more put together than me. While walking forward, I heard a sharp voice. A man, probably in his 40s, handsome, dressed in a tailored suit, jaw tight, eyebrows furrowed, was speaking angrily on the phone. "No. This isn't adding up," he hissed, tapping furiously on his phone. In front of him, papers were scattered in a mess of receipts and spreadsheets. He slammed his phone down, knocking over a glass of water, and as he jerked up, the papers flew off the table. I stepped forward to avoid them, but couldn't help myself. I glanced at the papers, and they practically screamed errors. Excuse me, I think you dropped your papers, which are just slightly miscalculated, I said softly, crouching to gather the pages. He looked at me, sharp and surprised. I'm sorry for interrupting, but I think I see why your numbers are off, I added as I organized the stack. You're adding percentages before converting the base, that's throwing off your projections. He blinked. What? I sat cross-legged without thinking, letting my brain take over. Your profit margin's based on 12.5% of revenue after deductions, not before. So this, I tapped a corner, should be multiplied by 0.875, not 0.80. And this recurring cost, it's static, but you're treating it like a variable. He stared at me like I was some kind of alien. Are you a walking calculator? I smiled a little, just a math major who gets excited seeing mistakes. He laughed. A real one, the kind that made his stiff expression soften. You're something else. What's your name? Noel, I replied. Cute name, you're really smart, Noel. If only my son had half your sense. He's an idiot, I chuckled. I'm sure he has his own strengths. Maybe he's good at things I'm not. He gave me a look. Wise words. What do you want to drink? Before I could answer, the cafe door slammed open. A tall figure stormed in, messy red hair sticking to his forehead, still in his practice gear, jacket half zipped and breathless. Raiden, I blinked. Both of us, me and the man, turned in sync. Dad, Raiden spoke, eyes flickering from me to the man beside me. His expression twisted in shock, then annoyance, before he stomped over and sat beside me, almost pulling me into his side like a shield. What are you saying? Did you say anything to him? I swear, Dad, say whatever you want to me but don't speak badly to him. I won't tolerate that. I didn't, Mr. Voss cut him off, then turned to me. He's the one you're dating. My throat dried up. Yes, sir. Mr. Voss stared, then, smiled. Someone as smart as you is dating this idiot of a son of mine. Huh, Raiden nearly choked. What? I blinked rapidly. Noel, dear, Mr. Voss said with a smirk. Order whatever you want. And so the most unexpected meeting of my life began, with me and Mr. Voss talking the entire time. He asked about my love for math, how long I'd been studying, where I was from, my parents, my hometown, everything. He ordered every drink or dessert I even looked at. Raiden, he just sat there the whole time with wide eyes, completely ignored. And for once, the man who terrified him most seemed more interested in feeding me cake than threatening our relationship. After the meetup, Mr. Voss finally turned to Raiden with a serious expression. Finally you did something good. Now, I don't care what else you do or mess up, but don't ever let him go, he said, smiling warmly at me on that last line. Raiden blinked. You're not against us? He asked, clearly confused. Why would I be? It's literally 2025. Who cares about dating status and all that? As long as you're in love and happy together, that's all that matters to me. Honestly, I didn't care who you dated, girl or boy. I just wanted to make sure you weren't with someone as much of an idiot as you or a bad influence. He sighed dramatically. But you proved me wrong. I've never been so impressed by you. He patted Raiden's shoulder and gave me one last smile before leaving in his car. Raiden stood still, frozen. I blinked. Are you there? I asked softly. Without a word, he pulled me into a tight hug. You're really a magician, he murmured. Stealing hearts like solving math problems. Then he grabbed my face and started planting kisses nonstop, making me giggle. So yeah, that's how the problem got solved, and turns out Mr. Voss really likes me. He'd even call just to check if I was eating properly, and if Raiden was treating me right. And funny enough, it actually helped repair their relationship too. Mr. Voss started supporting Raiden more, he even gave his blessing for basketball. Today was one of Raiden's biggest matches. Mr. Voss literally skipped a meeting just to come watch. We sat together like besties, sharing popcorn and cheering like fans. Raiden looked close to tears when he saw us there, side by side. After the game, Mr. Voss simply patted his shoulder and said, "The game was good. You played well." That alone had Raiden on cloud 9. Before I could even tell him to calm down, he grabbed my face and kissed me, in front of everyone. The whole court exploded with screams. Our ship sailed. It's a success. I knew they were real. Is this a dream? Don't wake me up. So cute, so romantic. Raiden, Noel, You have all our blessings. May your love outlast infinity. My face flushed as we broke the kiss, our foreheads resting together, grinning. I had never felt more in love, more happy, or more successful than I did in that moment.